By the end of this video, you're going to learn something that's going to actually help you win more games of Madden 25. Now, these are all things that I've used to win tens of thousands of dollars playing Madden. So if your goal is to win more games, this is a video for you. So let's get into it. So if you're ever in a short yardage situation, this is what you need to be doing. We are calling a jet sweep style play, but as soon as we get the ball, we are trying to spin up the field like we just did right there. You're almost going to be guaranteed to get 1 to 2 yards every single time. Now, typically, jet sweeps are meant to be going to the outside, right? Usually you try to do something like this. Maybe we cut it up sooner, but for the most part, you're trying to take it to the outside. What we're doing here is as soon as we get the ball, we're going to hold right trigger, R2 on PlayStation, push the left stick up towards the end zone, and hit B or circle to spin. So it should look something, I actually did it wrong right there, although we still got it. You see how valuable it is just to cut up. It should look something like this right here. We go bang, spin, and there we go. The defense has a lot of trouble reacting to this, and the offensive line is going to do a really good job of just holding in the middle typically. And if they have a defensive user, they're usually going to the outside. Now, let's go up against a random play here on defense. And how do you find these jet sweeps in your playbook? Well, if we tab over to concept, we can go to runs, and then we can scroll all the way over to jet sweep. And you just want to make sure you get a jet sweep, not one of these zone fake jets, okay? Just make sure that's a big deal. Now, one way we can make this better as well is actually utilize somebody who has the evasive ability. So Breece Hall, who's our starting halfback, has this, but this jet sweep gets handed off to a wide receiver. So we're going to press Y or triangle here and actually sub Breece Hall out of our halfback position. Then we're going to scroll over to where our jet sweep's coming from, and we're going to sub Breece Hall in right there. Now, watch how fast this spin move is and how much different it is. I think you'll really notice it. Here we actually get goal line. Boom. Spin. That's like, if you played College Football 25, that's like the Judkins spin. It is nasty. It's a very fast spin. The defense has trouble reacting to it, animating on it, whatever. You see, I'm able to kind of get here. This is actually the first time we just got blown up, and it's like, that felt pretty unlikely. We go back to it again. Boom. Really easy way, if you're inside like a 2-yard situation, call these jet sweeps, start spinning up, and you're going to start getting way more of these converted than you were before. Now, if you've gotten any value from this video so far, consider doing me a favor and hitting the subscribe button. Over 90% of people who are watching right now just aren't subscribed, and it seriously would be doing me a massive favor because it tells YouTube that you enjoyed this video and that it should get shown to more Madden players just like yourself. If you've played Madden 25, you've probably had somebody throw a corner route on you, and these are one of the most annoying things trying to defend, and they're good every single year. I want to give you 2 different ways that we can slow down these corner routes. The first of which is actually going to be going into our coaching adjustments by clicking the right stick in on defense. Bring up this screen right here. Now, I don't care about any of these until we get into the zone drop curl flats, okay? Here, I actually want to just go one back and go to the 30-yard or 25-yard drop. In this case, let's actually just go 30. And now, let's select the cover 3 sky. The reason we want to do cover 3 is because it already has curl flats in on defense. You see on the right side, this purple zone is called a curl flat. Now, think about it, right? This corner route that we're throwing is going around 30 yards deep down the field, and we have a curl flat now set to 30 yards. So instead, that curl or that corner is no longer going to be open. He's going to be defended completely by that curl flat. And the same thing would go if we tried running a corner route to the left. We go hut, cool. And let's see, can we get the corner out? Can we get the corner out? No, it's going to get bagged, and this time it actually gets picked off. Now, you might be saying, well, Civil, what do I do about the fact that somebody could just simply go underneath, right? If you have this, if this curl flat is dropping back 30 yards, who's defending right underneath him? Great question, right? This is really wide open. It's very, very easy to do. What I like to do is then take a defender and put them in a hard flat underneath. So we have our curl flat set to 30 yards. Then we'll go and grab one of our, usually like one of my yellow zone defenders, like this hook curl or someone who's blitzing, push A or X on them on PlayStation and right on the right stick. And now you see we have a hard flat over there. Now the hard flat is going to play about 0 yards deep. The curl flat is going to play 30 yards deep. So if we try to do something even like this, where we go to a basic flood on the right and we try to go underneath, well, that's defended. They can't really throw that. Now, if they break the tackle, that's a, sorry, brother, you got to coach your boys up better. But we have someone fighting underneath for us. We have someone fighting over top for us. and now that entire sideline is blanketed. In Madden, we call this Mabel coverage, and it literally the whole purpose of it is to take away the entire sideline, okay? And you can do this on both sides too. You could do something like this, where now we have both sidelines completely taken away, and my user in the middle of the field is responsible for this entire middle, right? It's a little bit tough in the middle, but it's going to take away corners, crossers, things like that. Now, the next way that I like to defend corner routes is actually going to be by, I don't care about what my zone drop curl flats are at. Rather, when I call something like cover 3 sky and they keep on throwing a corner route on me, I'll work through how this goes. So let's go hut, right? And let's say this is the third time this game that I've thrown Sam Laporta on a corner route, right? And on defense, I've recognized this. What I want to do on offense is, and this is how I've always treated it, is these yellow zones, I treat them as rovers, basically. And so what that means is that they could go, like we showed before, in a hard flat when need be, right? Or what I like to do is man them up onto receivers who are giving me an issue. So we've thrown Sam Laporta 3 times already this game. Let's man him up. Let's actually shade this coverage outside, and then I'll even shade it over top by pressing wire triangle and then using the right stick. And now we go to throw this corner route. Let's watch. It's going to get bracketed now, right? He might even still win, but it's going to be a much, much tougher throw. And as long as you have somebody good in man coverage right there, we have, I don't know who Walker is, but I don't think he's very good. But we could do something like this, right? And just get somebody who's good in man coverage right there, shade outside, get him some help with the leverage, and then we're going to be able to defend this corner out. You see right there? Corner out's totally defended. I call this bracket coverage because usually what we're doing is we're going to squeeze that corner out between the man coverage and zone coverage because we have help underneath with the flat zone and we have help over top with the deep zone. So that's the 2 ways I'll defend corner routes or just other big time just problem-esque routes that I have a lot of issues defending and that are usually always popular in Madden 25. First, I wanted to give you guys one of my favorite just sort of gotcha routes in Madden 25. This is an easy go-to whenever you're in a bad situation. You need maybe 10 yards or so. What we're going to be doing is let's come out in a formation that gives us an ISO wide receiver. That means just somebody all by himself on the far side of the field. So right here, Cameron Sutton all by himself on the left side. And then we're going to tap wire triangle to bring up our select receivers. We'll select Cameron Sutton with X this time. And you'll see the speed out is a hot route if we push our left stick to the left. And so now we have the speed out. But I don't actually just want him on a speed out because that doesn't go very deep. It's in that case it did go deep. That's because he bumped. That's just not what we want. Instead, what we want is let's put him on a speed out, okay? But let's custom stem him up. Let's press wire triangle, select him again, and then hold LB and push up on the left stick. I like to put him right around here. That's like 11, 12-ish yards deep. And then I like to just have a route going underneath him, which we do right here from Williams. We snap this ball, and now let's watch this. We're able just to force this throw. Now, you got to pass lead this bad boy with the left stick down and outside. But if you do that, you're going to find that he's going to get open against a ton of different coverages. Let's do it again right here, right? Let's stem him up. Notice I have him to the wide side of the field. Let's go hut, bang, right on the cut. Boom, easy. Now right there, we actually get our feet out of bounds. A little bit annoying, but if you do this and you create a high-low between him on that 10 or 15-yard out route, and then you have somebody coming underneath, whether it's a halfback like we do right here, or a tight end drag, we're creating a mini little flood on the right side, and boom, go back to it, able to throw that dot. You can't do this all game, but if you're in a situation around a 3rd and 5 and you want to get that first down, I love these custom stemmed speed out routes. I think they're such a cool addition to this game. I think custom stemming is really, really good. Let's go back to it right here one time. Oh, they press. That's okay. They were in a cover 2 right there, which is fine because that's why we have that guy underneath him because we can hit him. We're just creating a high-low on that sideline. You guys got to see this. This is like nuts with zone drops, okay? So if we go here and we're in zone drop flats, we have them at 30 yards. These are not curl flats. These are regular flats. And then we call something like Tampa 2. You would think that these cloud flats on the outside would go 30 yards back. That's literally what the zone drop is set at. We established that, right? But check this out on the left side, right? We do something like this with a route or with a deep corner route. And notice my corner route's going to get open. Right? Like he gets above. That flat zone did not get back there for some reason. But there's actually a way that we can get him to get back there And it looks almost nothing different, right? Let's do the exact same route combo. Look at the left side. This time it's bagged. The reason is because hard flats, if we do the same thing, but instead of cloud flats on the outside, we take this guy and put him in a hard flat, shade, just press Y or triangle, shade your coverage underneath with the right stick. This will get your 30-yard cloud flats or 30-yard flats to actually get way further back. So we do something like this again, and there we go. Like he's just back. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. And that would work from even the slot even, right? We could do something like this where our slot corner's in the hard flat. And because he's set at 30, he's going to get back, right? And you can actually see the cloud right next to him. The cloud doesn't get back very well, but the hard flat does. Now, if they make that throw and catch on you, damn, that's tough. But yeah, I just want to showcase that hard flats drop to 30. You can press them, and they'll actually get back to where you're trying to get them to go. All right, so I've seen a incredible amount of kick return touchdowns in Madden 25, and I wanted to give you guys some stuff that should actually help you give up less of these. Okay, this is a strategy I use on kickoffs now. So what we want to do first is select the kickoff left. It's very important you do this actually, like genuinely. Kickoff left, I don't care if you do it from normal or heavy. Select kickoff left. Then what we're going to do on top of that is select a deep kick with Y or triangle, and then push the left stick all the way to the left. Now, when you do this, you're going to want to get full power as high up on the bar as you can. For practice mode, though, I'm not going to do that just so they actually return it. And then there's another like little secret tip here. When the ball's in the air, when they catch it, what we want to do is select one of our guys, swoop them all the way out, and then click on to another person and swoop him in. These are going to act essentially like contains for you, okay? So let's do it again. Deep kick. For you, you'd want to get full power in practice mode. If you do that, they just won't return it. But we'll go to this again. Now, immediately, we're going to click on, get him out, get him in, and then we're going to create almost like a little funnel for the kick returner to go into. For them to return this, they would have to make numerous people miss. And if they make a bunch of people miss, well, then that's just football, baby. But let's go back to it again. You'll see it. It's very hard to cut this all the way back as well, especially when you get those contains out there. And if you can, get as much power as possible on these deep kicks, because then it'll go deep into the end zone, okay? And a lot of people just won't want to return it. Giving up a touchback here is totally fine. They get to the 30-yard line. Last year it was a 5. You see what I'm saying? Like, do this. They have to return that. That's tough, right? Boom. They run into a funnel. They'd have to make a lot of people miss to be able to get any kind of real yards. One of the biggest things that you can do for yourself in Madden is have good pocket presence. But the way people teach this is like almost always incredibly wrong, okay? You've probably heard of the idea of like, oh, you want to make sure you step up in the pocket and you're really trying to climb the pocket, step up. Well, if I'm going up against a gap type blitz right here or disengage, stepping up is actually like really stupid, right? And like you probably played against a blitz like this that like comes free up the A or B gap. In that case, stepping up right here, like, don't do that. And in case, and you actually don't even want to stand like totally still either, right? Because if we don't move at all, we're still like getting our halfback getting in our face, right? Instead, what we want to do, we want to be able to navigate the pocket based on what they're doing to us, okay? So in this case, right, let's say they're running a disengage blitz up the middle, whether it's an A gap, B gap, maybe it's some kind of pressure. I don't care if it's even a disengage. What we want to do here instead is get ourselves some time and we can kind of drift a little bit. Now, people are going to come free. That's part of it, right? But we just want to make sure, one, we're not walking around totally aimlessly. We're only using the left stick. And then two, we want to kind of navigate a little bit to buy ourselves time. Like right here, we had to roll out. Why? Because they came free up the middle. You see what I'm saying? Like we got pressure up the middle in that case. So we had to roll out. Now, what if they're sending some sort of edge pressure at us? How does that change then? Well, in that case, we're actually going to want to do a better job of stepping up. That's a good example of like, hey, you want to step up here. So let's go to something like some sort of edge pressure here. Yeah. So they're blitzing me off the edge. So in this case, I don't want to like drift a little bit like we did against the mug, because that's going to get me, right? That's going to happen. Instead here, we actually want to do a better job of sitting, right? Maybe we climb a little bit. We could take off right here, right? Something like that. That's when we want to do something like that. Our pocket presence, a lot of times, is based around the style of defense that they're running and the pressure that they're running, right? Because the way I'm handling this is so much different than the way I just handled that A-gap pressure that we were just getting a second ago. Again, this is all left stick. You just want to remain calm. You want to really try taking advantage of the little openings that whatever defensive running gives you. A very basic rule of thumb is that you don't want to be drifting too far back, right? You never want to just be like doing this all the way back. You never want to directly run into somebody, which sounds obvious, but like you want to make sure that's the key. And you just want to stay calm, right? Right there, nothing we can really do. The dude just came totally free. One of the best ways to work on this is to go into practice mode, go up against random defenses, and then as you make reads on your normal plays, right, you should be able to see in your peripherals the pocket around you. And with that, you'll know roughly where you should be going with your quarterback, right? Because again, it's not always as simple as step up. We saw that in the first one. Sometimes you don't even need to move that much. Right there, I just kind of stood relatively still, maybe stepped up a little bit, right? Boom, we're here. Let's step up more right here. Bang. If they were sending some sort of A-gap pressure, so let's change this now. Let's go something like this right here, where they're setting more pressure right up the middle, right? In this case, if they're shedding me up the middle, I can, in this, like here, drift back a little bit more. That doesn't mean drift all the way back. And that does not mean have bad pocket, right? We're going all the way back, getting massive sacks. But we can definitely afford to drift back a little bit if they're setting more A-gap pressure. Right there, I was able to step up. That step up I could not have done against the mug. One of the biggest nice things, too, about just trying to have good pocket presence is that you will buy yourself more time. You'll get your routes more open because of that, because they just get more time, right? And when you do take a sack, like let's say we take a sack right there. Let's pretend we didn't fumble. Now, those sacks won't be for losses of 10, right? You should never really be losing 10 yards on a sack. Like this right here, this is a 10-yard sack. That should never happen. But that is not the same as the idea of drifting back a little bit because they're sending A-gap pressure at you. That's something that every pro Madden player does when they're going up against some sort of A-gap pressure style blitz. Or another thing that they'll do is they'll do like design rollouts where they know they have to roll out, and so they will roll out against a certain defense. Because if they're sending A-gap pressure, rolling out is actually an example of having good pocket presence because the entire middle is getting collapsed. We gotta talk about the switch stick, man. This thing right here, dude, will change your life once you get a good understanding of how the switch stick actually works. I'm gonna show you some actual real life examples of how you could do this in a game, okay? So, first and foremost, the couple of rules that we have to have with switch stick and what we need to be doing with it is it has to be a pass play, RPOs count. The ball still has to be in the quarterback's hands before you can switch stick. And then 3, to switch stick, the person you're on right now has to be in a coverage assignment. It could be a spy, it could be a man up, it could be whatever. Now, the way this actually works is, let's say I'm using this guy in the middle. I flick my right stick to the right, and now I'm on this guy. And now if we flick it up, we're going to be on this top right guy. We flick it up again. We actually went to the guy at the very highest of the screen right here. That was kind of crazy, actually. Let's go down, and now we're in the middle. Let's go to the right, and we're going to be the other guy in the middle. Let's go up, and we're going to be deep middle. This is all based on the right stick, and it's directional from where you are in the moment. Now, let's show an example of where this could be really, really useful, okay? Let's say my base defense is a cover 3, and I'm using this guy over here. It's a cover 3 hard flat. Now, I know that means that corner routes, like what the tight end is on, could be open. So we snap this ball, and I see, oh, corner route, corner route, corner route. I can actually switch stick onto somebody who's near that corner route and get them to get even closer to it. So let's see if we can actually get a pick here in real time. I'm using 2 controllers, so a little tough. But let's go. Boom. Oh, corner route, corner route. Now I'm here, and now I'm able to actually play that corner, which if I didn't do that, if I did not do that, watch how open this corner route is. Right here, corner route, wide open. Right? Wide open. Switch stick changes that. So, really good way of doing it that I love doing it from is switching on to like hook curls and stuff like that to help make plays and almost act as like a match onto corner routes when you know that's a weak part of your defense. It's very important you know where your defense is strong at and where your defense is weak at. Right there, really good example of a switch stick working out for us. And that's a hook curl. We switch sticked onto him and we turned him into essentially a flat of sorts, right? Another example that you could do this from is using the corner route method once again. Let's say I snap it. Oh, corner route. Let's actually switch onto the flat zone defender and try getting up there. We don't get there that time, but you could see how we can at least make it a closer play, or we could go crazy right? This would be kind of nuts to do, but you could do this, and I have done this, right? Let's switch stick onto the deep zone defender on the right and make him play underneath, because a lot of people will just throw that corner route without thinking, and you're able to get easy interceptions like that. Let's take this a step further, though, and show you how you can stop one-play touchdowns by using the switch stick. So, we'll run a basic one-play touchdown right here. Let's say, again, I'm running cover 3, right? I'm just going to spy my defensive line so you guys can, so we can actually get this bomb off. Make sure we can. And let's watch number 1 right here, right? This deep post from the left. Let's see it. This is going to get open. Easy bomb. Probably seen that a million times. That style of bomb, right? Something like that. You guys can use your imagination a little bit. Well, what if when we see that type of bomb happening, let's go here again. We're in cover 3. Cool. Let's go motion him over. What if we could actually recognize what was happening and then switch stick onto the deep blue and then at least make this a play, right? At least make this a play. So now, if you watch what I just did, I just played and baited between the 2 deep routes. Now, when you switch stick, there's also the possibility that you leave something else open because you're going onto somebody who's guarding something and peeling them off. That's kind of the risks that you get. But in terms of forcing turnovers, which is what wins you games, switch stick, I think you got to get this down. This is going to be a thing that changes people's Madden lives for years to come, in my opinion. If you are somebody who passes the ball a lot in Madden 25, you need to be highballing. These are less likely to get picked. They're incredibly safer to throw. And a lot of times they're just going to be completed more often than a normal pass would be. And so there's certain situations you need to know of when to highball. To give you a good example of this, let's watch Mike Evans on the left side here. He's on this dig route over the middle. Now, there's going to be 2 linebackers also in the middle of the field. This is me if I just do a regular pass. It's still completed, but there are guys underneath who, I don't know, I could be a little bit worried about making a play on it, right? If we do it again, you know, we still have these linebackers underneath, and it's like, it's scary. Right there, we actually end up throwing a pick. And the goal of that throw, though, is to get it up over the linebacker, but underneath the safety who's lurking above him. And so to show that again, what some people think you should do right here is like a lob pass, or like they're trying to touch pass, basically, right? Because that's kind of what like everyone thinks touch passing is. No. What you want to do is hold LB or L1, and that's going to give you a high pass. And then you want a bullet pass with that. So I'm going to hold down X to bullet pass, but then I'm holding LB or L1 as well, which is going to give me a bullet high pass. Now, a couple things, right? Like I've already said, these are less likely to get picked because the ball's going very high. Like, seriously, it's just simple as that. Like, the ball's going up high. They just can't pick it. They can swat it. They can swat it like that. But the likelihood of an interception goes down incredibly, right? On top of that as well, you're putting it in a spot where if your receiver doesn't catch it, like, I just keep going back to the same idea, but like, this is just safe, dude. And it makes sense too. We're just trying to get this over top of the linebackers here. And then we're trying to get this right there. Great example. You could not complete that ball without a high ball. And then we're trying to get this, though, underneath the safety. Another great example of when people should be using high balls is on, like, corner routes. And let's watch our tight end right here. Right? He gets kind of bumped. Can we get him? We'll go high ball super late right there, where it's a scary throw all the way, right? We kind of had to wait for a long time. You just didn't know if he was going to get open or not. He had someone kind of underneath him. It was a little bit tighter of a window. We would high pass this, and at the very least, they're not going to intercept it. It's going to get into an ag catch animation. Now, usually, I'll use the same typical catch types that I'll use on a normal catch with these. So it could be a possession catch. I might rack it. I might aggressive catch it. But we go back to this right here. Here, I'll rack it, and we're able to get a really nice rack. Now, you don't have to highball everything, of course, right? But whenever, in my opinion, there's a defender underneath the route you're trying to throw. So in this case, right, using that dig route on the left as an example, we have 2 linebackers underneath. That's when I want to highball. If I was trying to throw a corner route and there was a defender right underneath that corner route, then I would want to highball because I want to get it above that defender. Right here, if I'm throwing A, I want to highball that because there's a dude right underneath it. Now, I did a bad pass lead. That's okay. But does that make sense? There's a guy right underneath it, so we want to high pass it up and over. A lot of people get this mistaken for when you'd want a touch pass or lob, and that's not always the case, right? And I think you can envision very easily how, had I bullet passed that, that could be much, much scarier just because the ball's not going to go as high and the defensive back underneath them could animate. Now, my tight end is getting bumped to heck, but if I just threw this normally, that is a much scarier throw than if I highballed it and got it up high. It's also worth noting that the height of your receiver does matter here. If Mike Evans was 5'8", this high ball would not go as high, right? It makes sense. He's just shorter, can't highball it as far, right? Right there, that route just wasn't open at all. But if he's tall, like Mike Evans is, he's 6'5", you are able to highball really easily to him, and it's going to go up high where no one else can really reach. Right there, see how I'm trying to get it above number 50, that middle linebacker? Highball. Please start highballing. It will change your life. So there is something inside of Madden 25 called read and react logic. And this is a type of run defense that's built into the CPU where if the defense matches the personnel of the offense. So let's say right now we are in 12 personnel. We have 1 running back, 2 tight ends, and the defense is in a 4-3 or a 6-1 or a 3-4, something like that, where they're also matching with that heavy personnel. If I call the same run play just a couple of times, and it depends on what difficulty you're on for how many times, but let's say we're on all Madden, and I call the same run play twice, the defense will actually start almost run committing me if I call that run play. Like, it's a big thing that they put in last year, actually, to help negate some of these runs, and it's very noticeable in-game where your first time calling a run, it might work pretty well, but your second time, it's gonna, like, they almost, like, shed a little bit better. And the third time, they fill the gaps better and they shed better. And the fourth time, they blow it up in the backfield, all CPU. That's called read and react. There is a way around this, actually, though, if you want to be somebody who's a bit more run heavy, and that is calling RPOs. Now, the reason that RPOs can get away with this is because the game registers them as a pass. Now, in this playbook, I actually don't really have any under center RPOs, but you might have like an RPO stretch, or in this case, actually, a halfback dive alert smoke. So with the normal logic, the halfback dive should get read and react. Like if you call it a couple of times, you just won't be able to call it anymore. Because it's an RPO, we can call it over and over again, and the CPU actually will never start to like really react to it, or they'll never like start jumping it like they would if it was a normal dive and getting insta sheds and stuff like that. Another example of this where like a lot of people will utilize these is inside of like shotgun, where, you know, we could call it inside zone right here from Bunch Strong Nasty, or it might be a little bit smarter to call, let's see, do we have a good example of this here? RPO zone peak. That'd be that would be an example of an RPO that we could use. We could go Y trips and call RPO base alert looky, which would not get this read and react AI happening. Or if we call it inside zone, it would have the read and react. So we actually wanted to go with the RPO in this case, right? Especially if we can really if we get the option to choose. Some playbooks have more than others, but to see if your playbook has any RPOs or where they're at, go into your concepts and then runs, and then, or I'm sorry, not runs, go into options, and then you can see the different RPOs. We have RPO alerts right here. RPO alert bubbles, one of my favorite ones. And then we also have RPO reads, which is that one, and then RPO peaks as well. So if we go to something like RPO alert bubble, this is going to be an inside zone, but they'll never have the read and react AI start to adapt to it. And honestly, even if you've just been watching this, like the runs in this game, the run game is tough in Madden 25, is not incredibly good as, I mean, geez. And so just having a little something extra to help you out, I think goes a long way. And RPOs in general are just pretty good in the game. So it's like nice to have the ability to throw some RPOs. But I mean, we are just getting, the Panthers defense is locking us up. They might have read and react on every single play. Games in Madden 25 are often won and lost in the red zone. I want to give you guys one of my favorite red zone defenses. This is a concept that I'll use pretty much year after year, actually. And so right now, let's just choose random plays on offenses or on offense. Right now, we are in the Rams defensive playbook, but the formation we're in is a 4-3-6-1 even. And I first want to click the right stick in, go to my coaching adjustments, and go all the way down to zone drop flat. And I want to put them at however far away we are from the goal line. So right now, we're about 5 yards away. We'll go 5. But if we were at the 10-yard line, I'd put them at 10. Then from here, I'm going to call cover one hole. But you just want to call a man coverage play where you can make this style of defense, where we take one of our safeties who's in a zone, put him in a curl flat. So select him, click A, and then push right on the left stick. That's going to get him into this purple curl flat. Then we're going to press Y or triangle and down on the right stick. That is going to get him shaded down, but he's going to play about 5 yards. This will also make our man coverage press, okay? Or they're going to play aggressive. Then we're going to press wire triangle down on the left stick to press, and then just simply take one of our blitzers and put them into a hook curl. So you see on the right side, we have a bunch of zone help. On the left side, this is going to be where our user is going to roam. The goal of this style of defense is to force the offense to make a tough throw, right? Something contested, because that's going to increase the chances of an interception. So to showcase the setup again, we're going to press. We're then going to get this guy up here into a zone or into a curl flat and then shade underneath. And then we're just going to hook curl one of our blitzers. Looks like this right here. Take a screenshot, seriously. And it might seem a little complicated your first time. I promise you, not too bad at all. So let's snap the ball again. Here we go. And then with our user, we're just roaming the middle of the field. Ideally, we're looking for the side that is a little bit more, that we don't have the zone help on. And it's also important to keep in mind, we want to do this from a heavy set, like 4-3-6-1, because if they run the ball, we want to have the ability to actually play good run defense. Right here again, you see with the man coverage, what the man does is it forces everything to be tight. Then we have zone help on the right to bracket everything. And on the left, our user is roaming and is able to potentially get some sort of interception, make something a tight play. And that's how we're going to win games. We have forced turnovers in these situations is going to be massive for us. And then we also have the chance to get pretty good pressure like you're seeing right here with these 3-man sheds. And if you enjoyed this video, check out this one right here where I break down 10 beginner tips you need to know in Madden 25 that just makes winning more games just super easy.